It Follows is a great supernatural horror film. I really enjoyed it, and if you want to know why, please stay tuned until after the intro to find out. Hi, my name's Drew and welcome to another review video on my channel. Today I will be talking about It Follows, which I have finally seen. I've been hearing about this film for years now. It's been talked about, particularly I heard it mentioned a lot on Screen Junkies Movie Fights, and I knew I just had to watch this film because it sounded so interesting in concept, just the small things I heard about it. Right off the bat, I've decided I'm going to slightly change how I do my reviews, because usually my films until now, either they were very spoiler heavy or they would have some spoilers in them. I've decided, because I don't know if you're going to watch the film or not, what I'll do now is I'll first talk about the film in very general terms as far as my review is concerned, and I'll keep if there are any spoiler things that I want to discuss, I'll keep them until the end of the video, with an appropriate warning of course, so you can decide if you want to see them or not. So hopefully if I have convinced you to watch the film, you can go into it with as little spoilers as possible. You have this supernatural entity, I'll call it, that is following, the title gives it away, following our protagonists and tries to kill her. That's the basic plot of it. What makes this film so interesting is how it's done. It's real supernatural horror, I feel. It's the type of horror that's a lot more scary because you don't see things, instead of them showing you all sorts of gory things. It does have some slightly gory scenes in it, but it's more the supernatural, more the psychological horror, which is something I do enjoy a lot more, although at the same time it is a lot more terrifying, like in this case. So just to, I suppose it's a good indication that yesterday, even after watching it, it really kept me busy and my brain going, even into sleep I suppose. I'm pretty sure I woke up at some point because I had been dreaming about it in some way. And that's what I really like about the film, the way it's made, and that is particularly what I want to talk about. Everything about this film is made in a way to make you feel followed, really. It's every scene, the camera, the music, it's all done in such a great way to just make you feel really anxious about what's going to happen next. So the build-up, the tension is amazing. You have the camera, which does a great job of literally following people, so that's what happens quite a lot. The camera follows characters around, and I'll just give you one small, slightly spoilery thing about the monster. What makes it really terrifying is it only walks. So it only walks towards you. There's no big, I don't know, many films that use big monsters, they're huge, they're ferocious, they can rip your head off, all these things. This monster slowly walks towards you. And the way it's filmed makes it absolutely terrifying, because what you would usually have happen is you'd have close-ups and the camera would zoom in, it would change over to their perspective, any of these things maybe. What happens here is you typically have a big wide shot, and in pretty much every shot I was looking for something, because I felt like, wait, they're showing me something, I'm supposed to be finding something in this shot here. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but you feel really terrified about it because you know you could really put yourself into the protagonist's shoes, so you're trying to figure out, where's it coming from? You know you've got time, but you have to spot it. If it comes from behind, that's a bit of a problem, of course. You would have, for instance, like I say, a wide shot. If the monster's in it, you can see it from very far away. You can see it's so small and distant. And like I say, what I find great is the camera doesn't zoom in, so it's slowly walking towards, well, the camera. And to me at least, I was immediately going into sort of panic mode, right, where's the exit, where should they go? I don't know, this film worked on me in so many levels. It was really terrifying. Or sometimes you'd be in a house, in a small house, and just a living room, and it feels so claustrophobic, knowing that around the corner this thing could be waiting there or so. And so really, it made my hair stand on end. It's done so well. So the camera work is a big plus. Like I say, not only does it actually follow people around with swerving camera moves, it also is usually placed in a way that if you're really attentive to it and you're really watching everything, you can spot small things happening. So really, if you watch this film, keep your eyes open. There's a lot to find in the shots here. Another thing that really enhances this is the music. So the setting, to me, the whole thing felt very Silent Hill-esque, but more like the video games, and I suppose maybe the first film. It's set in Detroit, and you've got many rundown houses, and the music just goes so well with it. It's a bit hard to describe. It's the artist is called Disaster Piece, and I had to look him up immediately because I was really taken in by this music. It's got a lot of synth in it as well at times. It's just very eerie, very creepy. That's where the Silent Hill comes in. So perfect fit for this kind of psychological horror film. So the music felt very unique. You do have things being worked in that are a bit sort of cliche, horror-esque, I suppose, in a soundtrack, but it was still a very unique sound. I watched, because of the Blu-ray that I have, had a wee interview with the artist who made it. It was very interesting to hear him talk about how he approached these things. If you do have the Blu-ray and it has the same interview on it, obviously Blu-rays come with different packages in different regions, but if it's on it, I do recommend watching. It's only 5 to 10 minutes. It's a very short thing, but if you like the music, definitely watch it. What else I liked about the film is the acting was fine. You've got this group of young adults. I'm not quite sure how old they're supposed to be. Group of young adults anyway, and they do a very good job of their portrayal. You have them in many terrifying scenes, and the acting is not very wooden, I'll call it. It feels very lively. The bond that they all have together feels very real. So they might as well have been real life friends, if you ask me. The main focus of the story is on the actress Micah Monroe. She plays Jay, is the name of the main character, who is followed by It. And she does a phenomenal job because she's in so many situations that are really nerve-wracking, and I felt that she did a magnificent job of really putting you in her shoes in that very moment. So whether it would be exhaustion or just terror, whatever it was, I think she portrayed it really, really well. It was not a one-note thing, but really, really well done to show you exactly how whatever's unfolding is affecting her. Yes, apart from that, just the whole concept of the film was really fascinating to me. I'll talk a bit more about that in the spoiler section. So to sum up, I highly recommend that you see this film, particularly if you want to watch something that's more of a psychological horror film than just some gory stuff. It's got great acting, music, the camera work is astounding, the direction, like I say, it really, everything pulls together so well to make you feel terrified, if that's the kind of thing you like. So, now we'll get to the spoiler stuff. So if you don't want any spoilers because you want to see this film, which you absolutely do, then I would say leave this video now and return later when you have seen it. Or if you're not bothered about these things, or if you have seen the film, then please of course continue. So the first thing you have to talk about, of course, is the concept in and of itself. I read up a bit about this film because I was curious about it, particularly about some of the story elements I was unsure about. And there was a lot of talk about what the film means, and is it supposed to be some analogy to sexually transmitted diseases and that, because obviously that is literally what's happening here. You have this entity that is being, or I'll call it the target of that identity that is being transferred by sexual intercourse. But to me at least, I didn't feel like it needs to be an analogy or something. I just felt like it's a really genius idea actually just to put that in there. I like the internal logic of the whole thing, which was really good. And I just think it's a genius concept. You've got this monster, it looks like someone you know, maybe, probably, in some cases it does, and it just walks slowly towards you. I thought it was brilliant. Regardless of where you would go around the world, it will eventually find you. And it's so terrifying, the thought of it, and I thought it was shown really well. Probably the most terrifying scene I felt was when Jay's sitting in the living room and you know the window's broken and just the whole room feels so narrow, and I was waiting for just any moment something to come around the corner because the shot just looked like that to me, that something was about to happen. And I couldn't believe how tense I was getting, just the anxiety of the whole thing was so well done. I couldn't believe it. It was so good. And the entity itself, of course, is rather interesting. I like the plan they devised with the pool. It made sense to me. I mean, obviously the gun didn't work when they tried to shoot it, so it was, it's logic. It feels logical to me that you would consider electricity when you think about how powerful it is. So, I mean, they have all these devices, all these appliances that they plug in and locate around the pool. Obviously the entity, at first I thought this feels kind of off that it's doing that, but then I did remember they mentioned at the start that it's intelligent, so I suppose it kind of saw what they were trying to do and then just decided to pick up all these appliances and throw them at Jay. What I don't quite understand is, I mean, that implies that it was fearful of going into the pool, which is interesting, which means it could have a weakness. But then again, I do believe that it doesn't die, because you do see it at the end, and I'm pretty sure that in that last shot where you see them walking before the credits roll and you can see in the background there's something walking as well. I do believe it, and that's very heavily implied that it's still alive, and even from the director's comments that I read, that seems to be the case and his intention. So I'm not quite sure if it is invincible, then why didn't it just get in the pool? Why did it decide to throw these things instead? But it seems that generally many things are just left open to your own interpretation. That seems how the director wants it to be. And that's fine. I mean, it was interesting. It was a nice switch up because it made you think, well, if it starts doing this, then there's no limit to what could happen. I mean, who knows, it might start running at some point. So I thought it was quite interesting in that way. It makes it less predictable, I'll call it. I mean, at first that's basically what was so terrifying, it's just it keeps moving. It's like an unstoppable object, it just keeps going, you know what I mean? So that, I suppose, is a nice twist to see now it can also do other things. But I really liked how all the group were holding together. It was nice to see that, contrary to other cliches, they're not just killed off one after the other, as you would have in these kind of films. They stick together to the very end and they have this great dynamic where they're really trying to help each other, although they do seem to believe that Jay is just basically crazy and that it's not really happening. And I did talk about the camera work with it being positioned in a way that you really need to look out for certain things happening, and I just love the shot where they're at the beach and you can see Jay sitting and just off behind her you can see the entity slowly walking towards her. I thought that was really great. That was probably my favourite appearance of the entity from all of them, because I saw it immediately from the start and then it keeps going and you're just sitting there going, turn around, you know, somebody noticed something. Obviously the others can't see the entity, but still you're like, somebody has to do something. Although staying with that scene, one thing that I found really, really strange, and I don't know how you would justify it really, is that, obviously if you've seen the film you know, the entity comes from behind and instead of just leaping on to Jay, for some weird reason, it lifts her hair up. And that's how the others see that something's happening and then they can react. So I don't know why suddenly the entity would do nothing but just grab the hair. It seems very strange in that way. Because you see the one scene where it impersonates Greg's mother and she just jumps on him immediately as soon as it's possible. So why wasn't that done here? I feel like they should have probably found another solution to make Jay aware of her. I thought that was a bit weird, but I did like that they had scenes where the others, although they can't see her, they could actually tell that, okay, something is here. Like I say again, a really, really good film, although there are some, like I say, some things that don't quite make sense. It doesn't take away anything from the film at all. One thing that I do feel I have to say as a bit of a negative criticism, while obviously the whole story is you're transmitting, I'll call it a disease, by sexual intercourse, I'm not quite sure why they felt it necessary to show it that often and that much. I mean, it wasn't really didn't really do a lot apart from show you, of course, that these things there wasn't a lot of affection going on in them, obviously, because it was more a necessity, at least from either one or both persons' part. But still, to me, it always felt like it's going on a bit too long, so I don't know, it just felt unnecessary. Like I say, show it a bit, yes, because you could really see how they're feeling about it in that moment, but yeah, just a bit too long. Anyway, it's a great film, I highly recommend it. Please do watch it. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed it, what you liked about it, or what you hated about it, disliked, whatever. I'm open for everything. I enjoy discussing these films a lot, and I've been enjoying all the comments I've received so far from various people. Other than that, please like the video, share it around, subscribe to the channel for future videos. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care. Bye.